Ladies and gentlemen, fuck all that. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder, and I am feeling actually horrible today. Besides the story I'm about to cover, I'm tired. It's early in the morning, and I can't sleep because I'm sick. You can probably tell in my voice. It is what it is. I woke up to news of a shooting in, I believe, Falcon Heights, Minnesota. I expect over the course of the next few hours to see major news outlets coverage, to see friends of mine posting about the subject, and of course to see reactions from both sides. Those that defend police seemingly with reckless abandon and no general cause or concern for the loss of human life. And those who will take an extremist viewpoint that this is need to disengage from the very notion of America. Oddly enough, I'm tired of both. I don't know what's changed in me, but when I began writing on Words Don't Do It Justice, and when we began these podcasts in 2013 and 2014, I found myself reacting differently than I find myself today. And you may notice I don't have the producer with me. Shout out to Devin. I don't have any other staff or folks that'll come on. Like I said, it's early in the morning. They're most likely still asleep. I should be asleep, but no matter how tired I am, and I'm tired. I can't stay asleep for more than a few minutes at a time. My brain's wound up. Alright. I believe in the idea of America. As a country, we are unique. Now, I don't mean that uniqueness in a structural standpoint. Every democracy since the Greek republics, well, really the Roman republics and the Greek direct democracy, has been some attempt to improve on their designs. So we decided to combine direct democracy and republic democracy into what is America. I mean unique in that the story of America is not one of a homogenous ethnic culture rejecting or recreating uh, its former affiliation. It is not a regionalized ethnicity uh, throwing off the shackles of an oppressive group. It is not the evolution of a feudalist state coming together for a purpose. America is unique in that we are a combination of allies and enemies, of oppressed and oppressors, united under a nationalistic purpose of creating what should be the bastion of, not hope, what should be the bastion of human intellectual greatness. America, the idea, is built on the notion that we can become something greater than everything before. And in the modern era, America is supposed to be the country that other countries look to pattern behavior after. This morning, I don't know that I can believe in that anymore. I have often said that as a black man in America, it is a difficult thing to love America. And that to do so requires a bit of understanding of where things came from. I have sat here this morning to a degree. I guess I miss writing, because I would be able to work out these emotions in a fashion that was visually appealing. You wouldn't hear the solemn nature of my voice. You would be able to, devoid of my personal feelings, understand my intellectual point about this situation. People in the future, if you watch this video on YouTube, you will wonder what I'm talking about. In the midst of talking, no, I won't say talking, in the midst of learning of the death of Alton Sterling, in the aftermath of seeing the video where he is clearly put to the ground, is sat upon, and is very clearly unable to resist. He's shot dead. Knowing that going to sleep, and knowing we were going to cover that this weekend on the show, somehow this morning I have awoken to the death of, and let me make sure I say his name correctly. I wake up to video from late yesterday of Philando Castile being killed by police during a traffic stop in the St. Paul, Minnesota suburb of Falcon Heights. I'm going to just briefly get you guys caught up on that story. The disturbing video was caught and posted by a Facebook user named Lavish Reynolds. It was of a live Facebook broadcast by his girlfriend, again, Lavish Reynolds. Excuse me. She was in the passenger seat. He was driving. She shows what are graphic photos. That's why I'm not including them. She shows Philando's uh, body kind of going. Well, I mean, she shows him dying. You can see the officer's gun is still, for some reason, pointed at him. Uh, there is blood in soaked through his shirt at the time. Um, he's clearly slowly dying in the video. They were pulled over for a a busted tail light in the back of the vehicle. Um, he was reaching for his wallet because he was licensed to carry a firearm and wanted to inform the officer that he was licensed. The police officer immediately tells him that he was telling him to not reach for it, which is contradicted by her, who says you asked him to reach for his ID and his license. That's what he was doing. Castile was an employee of the University of Minnesota and was the cafeteria supervisor for the J.J. Middle Montessori Magnet School in the St. Paul public school system. Again, that story being found out about late last night, July 6th, 2016. This particular article I'm reading was posted at 11:03 p.m. I woke up around, I guess, 3 this morning. Still not, like I said, I'm not feeling well, so you'll forgive me for not being in my usual mode, I guess is the best way to put it. I also woke up to a lot of reactions. Some people's reactions are, I won't say good, I'll say they're what I would expect from them. And some people's reactions were disgusting, and I was happy to delete and block them on social media. I'm sure TYT and the other various online folks that I follow will uh, get up and going on this. Um, I just don't know anymore. One of the first things I saw that bothered me was someone who said, well, he shouldn't have reached for his ID. I'm going to, for their benefit, not mine. Hope that the reason that they made that comment is to do with them not understanding how traffic stops work. Now, this isn't legal advice. I'm not giving legal advice, blah, blah. Usual disclaimer. I am an attorney in the state of Missouri only, and all of my legal opinions come from that purpose, and this is not a legal opinion. This is simply me talking in my capacity as an online entity. Whatever. Sue me. I dare you. Generally speaking, at a traffic stop, busted tail light, speeding, basically anything other than, suspicions for things like prostitution or drunk driving, you're going to be asked to stay in the car. The police officer is usually going to come up to you, and they're going to ask for information. Usually that's standard stuff: license, registration for the vehicle, insurance card. This is just stuff that you kind of commonly know. If you've taken any defensive driving courses, they tell you this stuff. The usual thing. If the person is a licensed gun owner, which it appears Philando Castile is, if they are a licensed gun owner, responsibly, they inform the police that they are, and they inform the police whether or not they are currently in possession of their firearm, which then usually prompts being asked to produce their gun permit. I almost said gun license. They usually are prompted to then pull out their ownership permit that shows that they are legally carrying their firearm. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. I don't know Minnesota. I'm not from Minnesota. I did not practice law in Minnesota. Didn't go to law school in Minnesota. Don't have any contacts with Minnesota outside of a former writer of ours who lives there. What I do know is, in most cases, they don't want you to produce the weapon for obvious reasons. What I know in the case of young black men, and old black men for that matter, it's also a bit for your safety. But they need to know that you have one, because otherwise Alton Sterling happens. And after they have pinned you to the ground and are physically holding you there with the full weight of their body, they shoot you and then say, well, he had a gun in his pocket. So, I don't know whether the police in Minnesota are required to see the weapon, whether you're required to hand it to them. I don't know that process. I'm not making this video for or against their state process, because I don't know what it is. I'm making this video because it would be irresponsible of me to have so heavily advocated for black men to go out and get a permit, a license to carry. And when a responsible gun owner, like Philando Castile seems to have been, is killed, not say something. You'll remember back when Ronan was still with us on The Wrath of Ruthless, that he and I and Devin talked about Wendell Pierce's comments that every black man should go out, register to get a concealed carry permit, buy a firearm legally, and join the NRA as a voting bloc. And that in doing so, it would cause a change to uh, the gun laws in America immediately, but in the interim would give us far more power and control. And in the wake of this, I'm sure the well-meaning friends of mine who believe that guns are so dangerous that we should have more laws on the books to control their sale, ownership, and use, that believe that America can somehow cold turkey get rid of guns. I'm sure they are expecting me to say that what I said before was wrong. That him having a gun is the reason he was killed. And so they will not expect me to block them on social media as well this morning. And that, as you might have guessed, is the wrong mentality to have. Because I'm not going to tell you to stop owning guns. In fact, I am more adamant that black people, not just black men, black people, Latino people, Asian people, should collectively incentivize each other purchasing guns. What do I mean? I'm in the Midwest, so I get a little mix of the South and the North when it comes to cultural influences. So you might see a tinted out lowrider, and you might see a raised up truck with a gun rack. I say we get into gun racks. To the person that says, well, doesn't that cause more problem? Looking at Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, looking at the South Carolina 9 killed in their church during worship, looking at Michael Brown and Eric Garner and Jamal Crawford and Sandra Bland, reflecting over Tamir Rice as two boys in Cleveland are made to write an essay about not carrying fake guns to the park after they are arrested by police. I do not look at a country that says we need less protection. The Second Amendment to the Constitution, as people are often wishing to quote, says that in order to preserve a well-regulated militia, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. You know how it works, people. Anyway, the Second Amendment has been interpreted in modern society to allow the continued ownership of guns unfettered by any American citizen who has not been convicted of a felony and thus still has their privilege of owning a weapon. And in the wake of white cop after white cop murdering young black men and old black men and choking them out on street corners for selling cigarettes weeks previously and that they don't actually have evidence of, and shooting young black men inside Walmarts because they are in literally the BB gun section and are trying to decide which one they want to purchase. As black cosplayers are shot because they have fake swords, which are part of the character they're playing, on their back. As all of that sits around me, even in my weakened state, I don't say, put down your guns. Quite the opposite. I say, buy more. I know what you're thinking. Matt, that seems dangerous. Matt, that seems crazy. That just puts more of us in danger. No, it doesn't. As a black, Latino, Asian, as a non-white person in America, I want you to really think about how much trouble you deal with white America. I want you to think about how many times you've been in sudden fear. Maybe even briefly, maybe it was only a moment in time. Maybe it wasn't long term. Maybe you went to a concert and somebody said something that was problematic. Maybe you heard some good old boy's country music blaring out of his pickup truck next to you at a stoplight. Maybe you were driving through an incredibly non people of color part of town in your hometown that you grew up in, and you wanted to get out of there quickly because you knew they can be quite racist over there. Maybe you tensed up because the police were behind you, even though you weren't doing anything wrong at the time. Maybe you were worried because you had your tags about to expire and you hadn't gone yet to get the renewal stamps. Maybe you were concerned because you bought a brand new car and you were hoping that the temporary tag didn't slide off in the rain or had been taken by somebody who wanted to put it on their car. Maybe you were walking around a mall just looking and shopping and noticed out of the corner of your eye that security and or the loss prevention folks were following you. Whatever your situation was, think about those moments. Think about how the rest of the country doesn't have them. Think about how it just happens and they act like nothing's wrong. Think about how you've been concerned for members of your family and they walk around with no problem. I could spend the rest of this video and we could go on for a full hour talking about, the people that I would call out based on their lack of action in this particular situation. But what it really boils down to is the following. You are not safe. And because you are not safe, you shouldn't be forced to act like you are. What do I mean? I think sometimes people believe that I hate the notion of equality. That I want, for some reason, men to be in a dominant position over women. Far from it. I want people to be treated equally. And it's because I want people to be treated equally that I advocate every woman buy a gun. Women who are close friends of mine that I have discussions with on a consistent basis will tell you that I have often told them that I would like to make sure that they get a concealed carry permit and that they keep a gun in their purse. And this morning, in the state I'm in, I advocate that publicly. Why? Because if the police can force you to your knees as you wait for your child after shooting the driver of your vehicle 14 times, excuse me, 4 times, uh, then you aren't safe either. And you need to make sure that everything is done to protect your safety. And yeah, I care about your safety. I I guess I get the notion that people think I'm uh, somehow anti-woman because I hold women accountable the same as men. But I will say unequivocally now, fear is not gender specific. Corruption and oppression do not belong to men or women or trans folk. It comes from all directions. And in the society we live in now, danger comes from everyone around you. But I'm not telling you to be afraid without giving you context. In fact, what I'm saying is because you have a very reasonable fear, and I believe as anyone in America right now, save apparently white guys with guns at rallies in Georgia, or, you know, crazed white men with swords and knives in the middle of parks, or indeed racist white shooters that kill 9 people in a church in South Carolina. Other than them, you have a reason to be in fear of most people. Now, there will be people who get on this video and say, not all, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to block your comment. Because this is not a video about the state of America. This is a public service announcement to, first, the people who look like me, and second, to anyone else who is dealing with this minority in America but majority in the rest of the world problem that we deal with. You are American. I get mad at the African American label because I'm far more American than I'm African. I don't just mean that semantically. I mean that logistically. I have grown up in America. I'm an American citizen. And the very notion that you could be African American is an idea that erases the truth of your existence. The reason why white people like saying African American is because it lets them hold on to their ownership of America. The notion that they are the default American, that you are not, but you were born here just like they were. You were raised here just like they were. And you own this country just like they do. So, take hold of it. Grasp it. Use your rights like a weapon. Because that's what this country was built on. Revolution, baby. The notion that you could tell someone to fuck off because of tax money. So, they want to marginalize you. They want you to live in fear. Because let's keep in mind here, you can't play in a park. You can't properly get your license as requested. Because this is the second time somebody has been shot because they were getting their license after having just been asked to get their license by the police. Luckily, the other black guy in of course, South Carolina, lived to tell the tale. So remember, getting your license, also not a thing. Hey, playing in the park at 12 years old, not safe either. Sitting in your house, doing nothing, apparently caused to have the police arrest you and everyone there and keep you in handcuffs for 5 hours as they wait to get a search warrant for a, at the time, warrantless search. We'll get to that story on another day. Um, complying with the officer's directions, that can get you shot. Or hung by a suicide in your jail cell, supporting Black Lives Matter, um, not supporting Black Lives Matter, um, being arrested for something that you actually hadn't done. That was basically just a let's pull this ex-con in to make sure that they, didn't commit the crime that we think that they committed. Um, apparently, anything you do is going to get you shot. Having autism, going to get you shot. Um, Buying a BB gun at Walmart in full view of the people in the store, gonna get shot. Cosplaying, gonna get shot. There's a long list of these. I'm not gonna get to all of them. So, safety is a paramount concern. So, stop playing by the nice rules. Now, I'm not gonna tell you to go out and burn your city down because I don't think that solves the problem. I understand anger. I really do. I understand rage, certainly. But burning down your city, starting with your neighborhood, that doesn't solve a damn problem. Also, you're a thug for doing that when you're doing it for mistreatment and injustice. When the white boys do it, it's because they were hyped up after a big championship win. So don't do that because, you're going to get shot. That's how that works. Or hit with pepper bombs. Whatever. I'm sure you've seen our photos from St. Louis. Uh, Buy a gun, buy some ammo, get it registered, get a license to carry, get a license for concealed carry. Hell, you know what? Just buy a gun safe, big gun safe. Put it in your house. Buy some rifles, get some handguns, a couple shotguns in there. Go for it, because everyone's gonna get on these next few days and weeks and tell you guns are the problem. What they'll forget is that these black men that were shot were card carrying licensed gun owners. These were men who were shot by police, not random criminals. What they'll forget is that the evidence goes back and sees that some of the people killed at the Pulse shooting in Orlando were actually killed by police when they busted into the building. Uh, they'll forget all those times where cops killed somebody. That seems to happen far more often than anyone likes to report. So I'm not going to tell you to stop. Not my job. Not going to tell you to peaceably assemble and cry and protest like this is 1965 and somebody's going to pay attention anymore. But I'm also not going to tell you to loot and pillage and burn places down. Burning down CVS is not going to solve the problem. But investing in CVS and getting rid of the ownership is. It's 2016. We have literally been a country nearing, and we're still just about 10 years away, but we're near 250 years. So we are 240 years in. It's time to stop fighting things the way they can control. They've made America, and I say they, and I mean everybody who's been in power before you. They have made America into a place where the real robbery is corporate espionage, where the real things they steal is your future. Buy a gun and protect yourself, and go steal your future back. I got rid of the blog Words Don't Do It Justice, not because I was tired of writing. Lord knows I am looking right now at 4 separate things, writing project wise, I need to write. But I got rid of the blog because I realized typing this out to you isn't going to make you understand it better than telling it to you. And I have no problem looking directly straight to camera right now and tell you go buy a gun, get licensed, concealed carry, and start buying stock in these companies that you have a problem with. Not because you want to assimilate, but because you want to take over. Do it. I don't care what your ethnic background is. If you believe in fixing the problem, hold the people accountable who are the problem. And if you think you aren't the problem, but I don't see you saying anything besides all lives matter, uh, he should have complied with the officers, you're the fucking problem. And you don't have to be white to be part of the problem. You don't have to be black to be part of the problem. In fact, I would dare say most of the time there's a fair mixture of both on the problem side of the line. So, go. I'm out of here. I'm going to go to the doctor here in a few minutes because I am horrible feeling right now. But I'm going to pick up some stock on the way. Might see into a new gun purchase on the way home. Look, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, we could still end up with the purge after November. So I suggest you start stockpiling in fear of, those other people. Those people that are dangerous to you. You aren't afraid. You do a really good job of taking what was your fear and putting it into the hearts of your enemies. I think Batman's that does that all the time. So just say you're trying to be Batman. Whatever excuse necessary to get what you need because it is now necessary. They shot a guy who had a gun permit and was trying to get it to hand it to the officer while he was still in his seatbelt. They shot a guy selling CDs out front of a store that had permission from the store to sell CDs. I shouldn't have to say this is unconscionable and ridiculous. I shouldn't have to say that this happened in Baton Rouge and I'm waiting for Kevin Gates to get out and make a fucking statement about it. I shouldn't have to say that I expect to hear from all of these normal black outlets and all of these regular news outlets about this story. But I almost guarantee you it will take plenty of time before they find some way to say something. In fact, we've already seen the prior arrest of Alton Sterling before I even woke up this morning. So, if they want you to play by the rules, start abusing the rules the way they abuse the rules. Until the system is fixed or replaced, use the broken system to your advantage. After all, that's what they've done. So, turnabout's fair play. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder. And Black Lives Matter, so do black guns. Might have to go pick mine up here soon too. Because the guy I'm afraid of, wears a badge on a blue uniform.